Yo, what's going on, guys? I'm Sam. Welcome back to another video. I've got some fresh info today for you guys on macOS 10.15. Now, I don't usually talk about macOS on my channel just because I feel like there's not as big of interest in macOS as there is as iOS, but there are some big changes coming this year, and according to 9to5Mac's Guilherme Rambo, they have found conclusive evidence of some pretty radical changes to the Mac. Just like iOS 13 is going to be a gigantic upgrade, it seems like macOS 10.15 is going to tell a similar tale. If you guys are excited for this video, as always, drop a like, share it with your friends, and hit subscribe so you stay up to date on the latest Apple news. Let's go ahead and jump in. So this leak is really big. We have heard that iOS 13 is going to change a lot from the home screen to dark mode to individual app upgrades, possibly bigger UI changes if some exterior sources and hints are to be believed. Apple's going to be doing something very similar with macOS 10.15, not in the sense of a redesign, but of bringing the Mac up to speed with what people want. The core of this issue is iTunes. Everybody knows iTunes. It was Apple's big piece of software back in the early 2000s when the iPod was their best-selling device. That era is long gone now, and over the years, Apple hasn't exactly changed iTunes. They've redesigned it so many times I can't even remember, but each time with that redesign, they're adding more functionality to this one piece of software that has just sort of been retrofitted time and time again. It's not great. No one that I know using iTunes has a good time using iTunes, which is a pretty bad sign for any piece of software, especially made by Apple. So the big leak today suggests that Apple is going to finally correct that based on a larger software plan for the future of both iOS and macOS. They are bringing apps like music, podcasts, and an all-new Books app from the iPhone to the Mac. So we're finally going to be able to just listen to music in a dedicated music app. This is really exciting to hear, at least for me, because as an Apple Music subscriber, I have to use iTunes for Apple Music, and it's just so frustrating to go through layers. Sometimes links take me to Apple Music, sometimes links online take me to the iTunes store if I'm trying to find a song. I never ever want to go to the iTunes store as a subscriber to Apple Music, and I can go in one unified piece of software for all my music. That makes sense. That's something that I would actually enjoy using again, and it would definitely make me want to listen to music on my Mac more. Same thing for podcasts. I don't know why these haven't been separated before. I don't want to have to search through 8 menus in iTunes just to play a podcast. And Apple, you can see in this new icon right here, they are working to bring podcasts to the Mac as well. But what about books? Apple's had a Books app on the Mac for a while. According to this latest leak, the Books app is going to get a pretty big redesign as well. Let me read you this paragraph. The new Books app will have a sidebar similar to the News app on the Mac. It will also feature a narrower title bar with different tabs for the library, bookstore, and audio bookstore. On the library tab, the sidebar will list the user's books, audiobooks, PDFs, and other collections, including custom ones. Now, it's unclear whether or not Books is going to be sort of like the iOS Books ported to the Mac through the Marzipan multi-device app software, but it is pretty clear that podcast, music, and the TV app should be basically versions of the app on iOS that now are situated to work on the Mac, which is cool because this leads us to just have further conclusive evidence of Apple's plan to allow iOS apps to run on the Mac. In fact, in WWDC last year, they said we are working on cross-device apps where you can make an iPad app for the iPad and then have it work on the Mac with like very few software and cosmetic and code changes, which is really important. A big reason the Mac has been struggling, I think, is that there's not a huge motivation for developers to make apps for the Mac when the user base on the iPhone and the iPad is exponentially larger in pretty much every facet. So with all this considered, is this the year that Apple kills iTunes? Well, according to this leak, no. One source is saying that apparently is very reputable, that the iTunes app is not going away just yet. It is still going to be included on the next major version of macOS, and likely the iTunes store will live on through iOS 13 as well if it is going to stay on the Mac. But I don't have any doubt that the iTunes Store's days are limited, and it pretty much represents everything Apple and the industry is doing. No one is making downloadable, individually purchased items in stores anymore. It's all streaming based. It's all instantaneous, and it's usually part of a subscription. That's what Apple's entire March 25th event was about. And if there's one thing that today's leak confirms, it's that Apple's not going back to that iTunes era anytime soon. In fact, I think they're finally going to transcend it. I think they're finally going to bring the Mac up to par with the user experience of apps on the iPhone. And they're doing that through basically just porting iPhone apps to the Mac. Is the user experience going to be as good as it is on the iPhone? Is it going to be as easy or fun to use? Will it be as rewarding? I don't know. I don't have the answers to those questions just yet, but I think this is a good pace for the iPhone. I think that it is really going to be cool if a developer puts an app on the App Store for the iPad, and you can get that same app that you bought on the iPad on your Mac with the exact same functionality. Everything will be synced. Everything will be, ready to go when you need it. That's what's cool about like continuity. You can pick up where you left off on your iPhone on your Mac, or go from your Mac to your iPhone easily. And the further integration of these standalone apps is going to make that better, which is cool. So let me hear your guys' thoughts about this down below. Do you think this is a good position for the Mac to be in? Do you think this is what Apple should be doing? Or does macOS just need a much larger overhaul for you to get excited about that? Again, obviously iOS 13 also on the horizon. Both of these said to be announced on June 3rd of 2019 when Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference kicks off in San Jose, California. Can't wait for that. Keep you guys updated all the way along the next couple of months until we get to June 3rd. That's all for this video. Thank you guys for watching. As always, drop a like if you enjoyed it, hit subscribe for more. I'll catch you cool cats in the next video.